Welcome, John, to the 21C Museum Hotel.
Steve Wilson, you are a very gracious host, gracious with your time, and from what you've told me, the museum is free 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
That's right.
It's got to be the only one in the world like that.
I think we are, actually. I told you that this museum here at home was our first one.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it was going to be the only one. But now that we're opening number 8 in Kansas City, we have more exhibition space than any other institution in America, including the Whitney.
This is second, third, fourth iteration of careers for Steve Wilson and his lovely bride. They have been contemporary art collectors for years. You didn't decide just to hang it on the wall, you decided to build places around the art.
We wanted to share the art, and we've done a lot of traveling we go to a lot of art fairs around the world. People ask how this started, and it's really hard to explain, but it was just sort of an idea to help share the art. And at the same time, this corner of 7th and Main in downtown Louisville was vacant.
Mm-hmm.
So we cobbled together 7 warehouses till we created enough square footage for what we envisioned. And with the help of Deborah Burke, who's a great architect in New York, put together the 21C Museum Hotel. So we have 90 hotel rooms above the public spaces. This room we're in now is we call it the atrium, but in a traditional hotel it might be the ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of closing the doors when it's not rented, the doors are always open, and there is art hung on all the walls. Sometimes there's a wedding in here, or sometimes, right now it seems to be set up for a meeting in the morning, but
saw a bunch of business types up there at the bar.
Yeah.
By the way, the bar is called the bar and restaurant Proof.
Proof on Main.
I made a joke with Steve about, well, the proof will be in the pudding about how good the restaurant is, and turns out that's what your wife said when she was naming the restaurant.
That's right. Proof is in the pudding, and as I mentioned, Proof is a good is a bourbon referral, and here we are in Kentucky. So.
In case you hadn't already guessed, folks, 21C, as Steve said, is a hotel and art gallery.
That's right.
So that's why it's open 24/7, 365. I guess you could have found ways to close off parts of it, but it's wonderful that it's accessible. And it's also wonderful, Steve, that you've managed to turn this passion into a business.
Yes.
This passion of collecting contemporary art has become a very successful business because you've now got 8 of them.
We learned that art can drive commerce. And as I mentioned, this area was vacant when we started 11 years ago, and now it's been quite a catalyst for other businesses around. There are other restaurants. There's a new one across, well, I say new, we've been here 11 years, but there was a restaurant across the street that wasn't here when we opened, and Luigi's Pizza is doing great just next door, and we call this sort of Museum Row because we have the Kentucky Art and Craft Museum across the street, the Children's Natural History is down the street, the Fraser. So it's sort of a cultural district in downtown Louisville now.
By the way, folks, if you haven't been to Louisville lately, you haven't been. 4th Street, amazing. That's where the brands are, that's where Hard Rock and Howl at the Moon and things like that are. But they're fun areas. It draws people in.
And walking distance from here, really.
Absolutely. And, 1.5 million people are coming for this weekend, Steve.
That's right.
To see the Oaks and the Derby. We were lucky enough to be out there this morning for Dawn at the Downs.
That's why you're here, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby.
Well, make a quick buck. Do you have a tip for me?
Actually, I should work on that. I don't.
He has a guest staying in the hotel, by the way, that's got the favorite in either the Derby or the Oaks.
The Oaks.
The Oaks. Well, fantastic. I liked that. What was it? Smart Magic or
Good Magic?
Good Magic. I like Good Magic. Was watching Good Magic work out today, and I loved the phrase, Steve, that they said that they knew they had the right name for Good Magic when he made other horses disappear.
Well, that sounds like a good reason to bet on it.
Yeah, so I might be doing that. Taking this concept across the country, Arkansas you mentioned to me already, Kansas City and so forth. What are a few of the other cities?
Well, the last one, the newest one, we opened Nashville last summer, Cincinnati, Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is in an old Model T Ford factory, and Nashville's in an old hardware store. So they're all, and Kansas City is actually the old Savoy Hotel that Truman hung out in. So they all have, they're not all historic buildings. The one in Bentonville is a new build, but it's in a spot in the downtown. So it was a vacant sort of lot. So we like to be downtown. We don't think, I told you it's easy to break the rules when you never knew what the rules are.
Yep, that's
so I don't say I would never do anything, but we like the idea of being in the downtowns, helping commerce, regenerating activity for a historic building rather than tearing it down. So we have a lot of feel-good things mixed in there that's been really successful.
And the artwork that we're looking at in this one in Louisville is going to be traveling, because the artwork in all of them travels. You have a curator who basically sets up the other hotels with the art that he or she decides that's what we need in here, and it's constantly rotating.
That's right. Alice Stites is our curator, and we have up now a show called Dress Up, Speak Up, and it has a lot to do with ethnicity and social expectations about dress. This is a Kehinde Wiley here, one of the largest he ever painted. This is the artist who he painted Obama this year.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We've had the Kehinde Wileys for quite some time. It's really fun. Part of the fun of contemporary art is that you can. We basically buy out of passion. We're not really investing in art. So if you've got a finite amount of money to spend on art, we can help a lot of young artists with a lot of purchases for what you might buy, I don't know, one Andy Warhol or an older master. So sometimes these artists become famous and sometimes they don't. But at this moment in time, we're helping them, they're helping us, people get to see it, and it's a good round robin.
Oh, it is fantastic. And folks, been speaking with Steve Wilson, co-founder of 21C.
Co-founder, my wife Laura Lee Brown and I.
And I encourage you to stop in at any of the 21C hotels. Fabulous places. You won't believe the art. You'll just stare at it for hours. But thank you for being such a generous host. And remember, folks, if you don't know the rules, then you don't even know when you're breaking them, or something like that.
That's right.
And thank you, Steve.
You bet.
Have a great one, sir.
Have a happy Derby.
Thank you.